people, it's your boss man back again with another match preview. The match previews have been moved back to their rightful day, which of course is today on a Thursday. The first game back after the international break. I can assure you that I'm glad to see the back of that absolutely boring week of football. I've not watched much of it, but listen, we're back to talk football, in particular Cristiano Ronaldo's return. If you haven't, if you've been living under a rock, you won't be aware that Manchester United admin has posted it every single opportunity that they can post. Even today, they even get them. They took him to Old Trafford just to say, "See, listen, these lot are rinsing it, and I'm all here for it." As always, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We've already got Ben in the chat soon. Hello, Osman and Alice. Big up. We will be joined by Chris. Also, the three amigos reunited in the new season. But as I've already said, I'm joined by the lovely Alice today. Alice, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. So glad the international break's over like you. It's so crap. 3 games into the season. Whoever decided that should be just sent to prison, honestly. And we've got another one in 4 weeks, but I literally cannot wait.
Listen, the 4 week, I don't understand why it's so frequent. I understand, of course, they need to qualify for the World Cup, and I get that. I get the importance. However, can't you just do it in 1 month? Because I'm sick and tired of it already. England's games, I believe, against Andorra and Hungary. I mean, it doesn't really fill me. It doesn't fill me with much excitement. Jay Ling's probably bagging another brace and doing Ronaldo celebration. Absolutely. Shithousery of the finest hour. But nevertheless, we're going to get into it. Manchester United taking on Newcastle this Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. If you're not aware, yes, of course, if you're in the UK, you'll be well aware of the case because, of course, that means a blackout for us. I know Alice has tweeted out regarding this matter. I've seen your tweets. I don't want to glow, obviously, rub it in your face, Alice, but I'm going to the game. So I'm absolutely elated.
I'm jealous.
I know, but look, the thing is with me, I just got lucky. I bought the tickets before Ronaldo signed. I paid literally 40 quid for my tickets. I bought them a couple of days before, and then obviously
you got real lucky. Yeah.
I just, honest to God, it was just one of them things. We've not been in ages, and we're like, let's just get some tickets. Let's watch the game. And then Ronaldo signs, and of course, this is his homecoming. So absolutely elated. Make sure you stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna do a match day vlog. I've not done one of them in about 5 years, so I'm not sure how I'm going to do because I feel somewhat awkward, but I'll do it for you guys. It's a bit awkward, isn't it? When you just sit there and you record yourself in the stadium, but I'll try my best. But anyways, let's get into the game. As I've already mentioned, Newcastle on Saturday. First and foremost, just from a United perspective, Ronaldo's first game, the biggest story, Alice, of course, is surrounding Cristiano Ronaldo. For you personally, does he start this game or is he on the bench? What are your thoughts?
I mean, for me, it's Ronaldo. He has to, For me, he has to. You know what Ollie's like. If he doesn't start, it's a part of me that wouldn't even be that shocked. But it's like, it's Ronaldo, first of all. Second of all, he's had a full week in training. Everyone's gone off on international duty. He's spent time in training. He's ready. He was good on international break, scored 2 goals against Ireland. He's ready. He's been training. He's Ronaldo. You can just put Greenwood on the right, Pogba on the left. Martial hasn't really been involved. Sancho hasn't been brilliant so far, but he's only had 1 start. Start Ronaldo. For me, it's simple. You've got to start him.
I mean, I'm going to echo your sentiment then. I think I've seen a lot of different sort of fan opinions on social media. Some people kind of go along the lines of Ronaldo should be substituted on, give him the opportunity to have that ovation. And for me personally, I just think it's absolutely ridiculous to even have that thought process. At the end of the day, you play your best team. As you rightly said, Ronaldo is fully fit. He's played international duty. He's scored twice. And of course, since then, he wasn't allowed to play because of suspension. And he's been back and trained more than other players like Maguire, Shaw, etc. These guys are coming back from yesterday's game, I believe, obviously for England against Poland. And Ronaldo's even more fit than him because he's been training the whole week. He's got absolutely no reason not to play him. The only thing would be this sort of sentiment where, Ronaldo doesn't start because he wants an ovation. I've muted you by accident, Chris, but welcome to the stream. Yes, Chris, it's been a while. First and foremost, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm really good, man. Sorry I'm a few minutes late, but thanks so much for having me on.
Don't be silly. It's absolute pleasure. The three amigos, as I introduced us, are back together. You'd love to see it. As you probably already heard, we're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo and whether he starts or not. What are your thoughts? I mean, it almost sounds like a stupid question for me personally, but, where do you sit on the matter? Is Cristiano Ronaldo making his debut and starting the game, or is he coming off the bench for you?
Has to start. Or like it's not, you're still bringing in one of the top two players in the world, like regardless of his age. I think I heard you say that he played for Portugal, didn't he? He scored 2 injury time goals, broke the record. He played all of that match. I know he didn't have any game time for Juventus, I don't think. I think he got a few minutes off the bench, didn't he, in the first game, and he got set out for the second one. So he hasn't had a lot of game time this season, but even so, the guy is an absolute machine, like built for it. I don't see any problems. In fact, like knowing Ronaldo as we do, like for his career, I don't see him accepting sitting on the bench.
I mean, I hope not, because I'm going to the game, as I was saying to Alice earlier, and I think someone's put Shahin's put. Sorry, I need to stop mentioning that. Shahin's also put Ronaldo must start. I've captained him on fantasy football. I mean, I'm close to captaining him. The only reason I haven't thus far is whether he starts in my head, because I feel like Ollie has this weird obsession of bedding in players. I mean, Ronaldo's not the kind of player to bed in, as you've already mentioned. He's a world star. I mean, one of the greatest of all time, arguably. I mean, he doesn't need any bedding in. The guy is fully fit. He's ready to go. He's a machine, as you've just alluded to there. The next question has actually come from Diego. If you're joining us live here in the studio, I don't know why I said studio, but it is what it is. Keep getting your questions in, obviously, to myself and the panel. Of course, if they're topical, I will put them on screen, as Diego's question is here. Who is the best striking partner for Cristiano Ronaldo against Newcastle? Diego's not messing about. He's not, beating around the bush regarding whether Ronaldo should start. Alice, I'll come to you firstly regarding this matter. Who do you think is the best person to partner Ronaldo up top against Newcastle?
Well, I guess if we're talking in terms of a front two, someone that could complement them, I honestly would go with Greenwood over Cavani, which might sound crazy, but if we're doing a front two, I think Greenwood has that pace, that two-footedness, sort of the kind of youth and energy to him. I'd say in terms of a partner, I would probably go with Greenwood over Cavani, because I think that would be amazing and all of that. But in terms of like the front three I'd want to see, in terms of the attack, would be Ronaldo striker. I think put Pogba back onto the left so we could do Matic and Donny, and then probably Greenwood on the right because he's undroppable. That's probably what I'd do.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think in terms of the Greenwood thing, it's interesting because a lot of other people that I speak to and respect in the community, a lot of people kind of haven't put Greenwood in their team, which to me blows my mind. Greenwood's the most informed striker we've got at the moment. I would argue he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet. 3 goals in 3 games. Chris, what are your thoughts? Is Greenwood a shoe-in, or do you think it's some other combination? What do you reckon?
I don't think he's a shoe-in. I'd pick him. To answer your question, I'd pick Greenwood. I think we'll play the 4-2-3-1. As Alice says, if we were just to play a 2, I'd play Greenwood beside Ronaldo. But we won't do that. So, you're looking at Pogba left, Greenwood right, more than likely. I mean, that's what I would go for. But there is obviously an argument for Jadon Sancho to come in over Greenwood. There's an argument for him to play on the left instead of Pogba. I know Pogba had an amazing 2 games, weren't so good against Wolves. A lot of us, like me included, spoke quite a bit about Pogba being played out on the left and why Ollie's not playing him out in the midfield. I'll tell you what, I feel proved wrong. I feel that actually Pogba's a lot more effective for the system that we play from the left-hand side. So Pogba's competing for a place on the left, I think, now. Probably with Jadon Sancho at the moment, with Rashford out, because Greenwood will more than likely play right. But no, I think Sancho might take a little bit of time to embed into the Premier League, a little bit like we saw with Kai Havertz for Chelsea. Yeah. It might take him a few months. So for right now, I'd go Pogba left, Sancho right, and not Sancho, right, Greenwood right, and Ronaldo, of course, up front.
I mean, it's still like it's not settled into me the fact that we can actually say Ronaldo up front. It's just an absolute madness. I'm not gonna lie. And I think the funny thing is, right, a lot of people forget that we still got Cavani. Like, just hypothetically speaking, if we went with the lineup that you suggested there, which is what I would go for personally, that means we've got Cavani, Martial, and Sancho on the bench, which is outrageous. Yeah. I mean, that just shows the leaps and bounds we've taken in terms of attacking sort of talent, so to speak. Keep getting your comments in. Thank you. Remind me about the Fred thing, because I actually forgot about that. We will come on Fred, obviously. I mean, we will come to that very shortly. I know Alice is a fan of Fred. The last show we had, she wasn't Fred's biggest fan, shall we say. We had another question there. I might have missed that, I believe. So Akil was saying they will do a walk-in for Cristiano Ronaldo prior to the game, and then he will start for sure. I mean, that seems like, I mean, I understand that happening, but it just seems a bit weird if that would happen, if you get one player to walk out and then he walks back into the restroom. I don't know if that's the thing. For me personally, just regarding the whole Ronaldo thing, I would, of course, start him without a shadow of a doubt and look to just absolutely hammer them in the first 60 minutes and then sub Ronaldo off. If you really want to give him his ovation, so to speak. I don't know why that's such a big thing, because he's going to get a reception anyways, whether he's off or, getting subbed on. I just don't understand why people care so much for that. I just think it's too much sentiment. But if people care that much, sub him off, sub Cavani on, potentially sub Martial on, and tell them to obviously show us why they should be starting. Obviously, it creates that competition, and hopefully at that point, we've kind of sort of sealed the game, so to speak. But yeah, let's just quickly touch upon Ronaldo's impact, and then we'll get on to the Fred situation, actually. So the question being, how big of an impact do you think Cristiano Ronaldo has, will make to this team? Of course, I've asked this question numerous times to people in the last couple of weeks, but I've not spoken to you two regarding the matter. So it'll be interesting to see your thoughts. Alice, as always, we'll come to you first. In terms of Cristiano Ronaldo coming to the team, of course, we know he's an absolute goal. You've seen from the post. I mean, I was saying to my work colleague today, it's really weird looking at footballers fanboying over another player, and they're genuinely fanboying them. It's so weird. But, in terms of impact, how big do you think this Ronaldo signing could be on the rest of the dressing room?
Yeah, I think it could have a massive impact when you sign a player like Ronaldo. Obviously, there's always the fear, like, if you sign a striker, are they going to get the service? Look at how we played versus Wolves. Look at how we played versus Southampton. But I think when it's a player like Ronaldo, you just kind of know they're going to have an impact because he's got that almost mentality, and he's a good player. But like when how Bruno came in and he just sort of went. And it wasn't just because Bruno was a good player that he changed us, but it was Bruno had the mentality. He was basically our captain. Even though Maguire had the armband on, Bruno was basically our captain. And I think Ronaldo, he's not just going to bring his ability to win games out of nothing, make something happen out of nothing, which we've seen Rashford and Greenwood do in the past, and just score goals. But Ronaldo's going to bring, I think, a boost to the club. Bruno gave a boost to the club. Ronaldo's got this sort of elite mentality. He's going to want to win. In the night, when it's the 90th minute, the game's not over, because if Ronaldo touches the ball once, he could score a goal. You can get the ball to Ronaldo. I think he's going to boost the dressing room. I think he's going to up the standards, up the mentality, but not just also improve us as a squad, but I think players will improve around Ronaldo. When you've got such an elite player, I think almost the best number 9 in the world and the best maybe number 9 to ever play, when you're looking at the players around him, Greenwood's only going to improve, even if he's on the right, Greenwood could put in a cross, that Ronaldo's probably going to be in the right place at the right time. Like Martial's a player that, look, he hasn't been great the last year, but I've massively backed him. But there's been times where I'm like, Martial, why aren't you in the box? Why isn't Martial there? Where Dan James would put in a cross to no one. And it was a good cross from Daniel James, it just wasn't to anyone. But Ronaldo will be there. And I'm like, Pogba 5 assists in 2 games on the left, as a left mid. Imagine Pogba providing that service to Ronaldo on the left. Surely.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree in terms of people not being in the box. This is one of my biggest frustrations. I know all 3 of us do watch-alongs, and, I'm sure there's been many occasions where you just sat there screaming with the watch-along as well. Why is no one in the box? Like, there's been so many times I can think of, as you mentioned, Dan James in particular. In his defense, there has been a lot of occasions where he has put deliveries into the box and no one's meeting it. And I do feel sorry for him in that sense. But obviously, he's not our player. He's at Leeds scum now, so I have no sympathy. But in terms of not just Dan James, other players as well, that was the massive benefit of Cavani. When Cavani came into the team, we had that threat in the box. And, of course, we benefit from that a lot, especially at the latter stage of the season. The amount of headers we scored from Cavani directly, it showed with the numbers. You can look at the statistics. Cavani made a massive difference in the latter stage of the season just by offering something different, a different dimension, a different attacking avenue. And, of course, Ronaldo will definitely provide that. My question to you, Chris, on the flip side, because I have seen some people have a lot of concerns with the Ronaldo signing, and most of the concerns being the fact that you kind of have to play through him in a sense. Now you've got Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, I suppose people kind of saying it's all about him. You know, he has that mentality that he's very egotistic. Obviously, these are not my words, of course. This is just what other people think. Do you think that might be a concern in terms of, you know, we're going to become too reliant, similar to how we were when Zlatan was here? A lot of the service was going to Ronaldo. Is that a concern for you at all, or do you still think, no? I mean, I would say we play as a team, but I can't really with my chest. But is there a concern that we'll become overly reliant on him, so to speak?
I think it will happen, but I don't think it's a concern. I think it's normal. You know, like, I can't repeat enough that this is no ordinary player. Like, people need to get that out of their mind. We're talking about one of the top 2 players probably of all time. Of course, you're going to utilize him and try and get the most out of that player. You're going to put a ball in the box if that person's standing on a penalty spot. You're going to play a through ball if he wants it, because he's your man, isn't he? And Bruno Fernandes is going to get ridiculous amount of assists, by the way. He's going to blow away Ozil's Real Madrid Ronaldo.
I think Pogba's in the conversation for that stat, you know, I really do.
100%.
I mean,
and no, I think like the impact he had, as Ali said, like mentality, he's a winner, he's won everything. I think Cavani's brought a lot of that, but we're taking that and we're going up a level. I think for the first time, probably since we had Tevez, Berbatov, Ronaldo, that we've actually got options up front as well. Like if we're drawing a game, 10 minutes to go, you've got a potential Cavani-Ronaldo partnership if you wanted to go 2. If you throwing the kitchen sink at a team last knock-ins, you've got 2 amazing players to throw the ball into the box to. I think he'll have nothing but leadership. I think he'll raise everybody's standards around the club. I think there are people that maybe don't offer as much as they could or don't necessarily have a winning mentality. There's a lot of players at our club that haven't won anything or haven't won a lot. And he'll definitely bring that, even on a personal level with his Ballon d'Ors, he'll drive everybody's levels up. And the influence I'm most excited about is the influence he's going to have on Mason Greenwood, because he's already probably the best finisher at our club until now. And he'll learn from Ronaldo in terms of like personal levels and achievements. I think there's a lot of talk about bringing in Haaland and other strikers at the club, but I think if Ronaldo's with us 2 to 3 years, Greenwood could end up taking on that mantle,
No, I think that's a fantastic point in terms of, Greenwood. I suppose you and Alice, the comments sort of theme with your guys' comments is his mentality. I mean, the mentality monsters, as some other team is called. I think Ronaldo is going to, allow us to become that team now. As you guys said, he's going to elevate other people's game. I keep alluding to, obviously, if you watch The Last Dance, there's a clip of Michael Jordan in there where a lot of people are talking about Jordan, and he's literally training constantly, and he demands excellence from other people. Jordan does, and I can guarantee you Ronaldo's mentality is exactly the same. This guy is not here to take part. He's already said it. He's here to win the league. He's here to win trophies. Someone's in the comments put that he's here to potentially bring us a Champions League, which of course we'll touch upon on another show. But in terms of what he's going to offer to the young lads, I think is absolutely priceless. And this is the thing I'm most excited about. I keep forgetting Green was 19, which is absolutely outstanding. If you actually look at Greenwood play, and then you think about other 19-year-olds, the guy has got so much going for him in terms of his confidence, of course, his ability to strike the ball, just his overall intelligence, his IQ. Of course, the decision-making can be frustrating at times, sometimes when he doesn't pass, but, you'd expect that from a 19-year-old. And Ronaldo to be, next to him, training with him every single day is only going to benefit him. And what you said regarding Haaland, again, I'm not saying no to Haaland, obviously, but if we can get another 2 very solid years out of Greenwood in terms of his potential, I honestly think he could surpass Haaland, or at least be in the similar conversation. I know that sounds like a ridiculous statement at the moment, but I genuinely believe in his ability. But listen, we're going to move on for Ronaldo chat, because as we said at the start, the Manchester United admin has been just killing us and bombarding us with United and Ronaldo conversation. But listen, we're going to move on to the Fred situation. So I just put in the chat. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I know I shouldn't say this, but I tweeted, every cloud has a silver lining regarding Fred. I think that's what I tweeted, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, this isn't no disrespect to Fred. I don't know why he's not allowed to play. It really doesn't make sense. He's trained with us all day, every week, basically, every day of the week. So he should be allowed to play. But in saying that, McTominay's injured. Fred isn't available, of course, as we know. Pogba's only concern is, and I will throw it to you guys, is Pogba might play in DM or alongside Matic, basically. He might go Pogba, Matic, just to throw it out there. Pogba, Matic, and then Sancho, Greenwood, and Ronaldo up top, potentially.
And McTominay's been training since Wednesday, hasn't he? So there's even a possibility he might come back early.
Well, there you go. So the question here was Fred banned for this game, and McTominay not being fit. I mean, I'll let you guys decide if he's fit or not. I mean, Ollie will play him anyways. Does he go Pogba, Matic, or does he finally go Donny and Matic? Alice, I'll pass this to you as always first. What are your thoughts?
I hope he goes Donny and Matic, but I wouldn't ever put any money on it because Ollie and Donny, the fact that he played an injured McTominay over Donny when we needed a goal at CDM with Matic, when Donny had had a pre-season with Matic and played well against Southampton, showed how much he rates Donny. The fact that he put a COVID Lingard on as a box-to-box player rather than Donny as a box-to-box player for 10 minutes shows how much he rates Donny. It's crazy, but he wouldn't let Donny leave. And maybe now Donny's spoken up, there's the media pressure, Donny wants to leave. He might, but I just look at it, I go, if there's any chance McTominay's going to play, he will play. And honestly, this is going to sound mad, I genuinely think there's more chance of Juan Mata getting a start than Donny van de Beek because you just know what Ollie's like.
It actually doesn't sound crazy. I think Lingard might be in for a shout, actually.
Actually, to be fair, I forgot about Lingard. Lingard would surely start the matter, but I could generally see Lingard on the left, or because there's Lingard, Martial, Sancho, but Ollie does have his favourites, and I think he could go with Lingard because Sancho's new. I generally could see Lingard on the left, Sancho on the right, Ronaldo up top, I'm guessing, but then Pogba and Matic in the pivot. And look, I have no issue with Paul Pogba in the pivot with Matic when Matic plays well. But the thing about Matic is he can play well and he can play bad. He's not consistent. With me, Paul Pogba's best position isn't a pivot when he's up next to a top player like a Kante, or if you put an Indeed next to him, I think you get the best out of Paul Pogba in the pivot because we've seen that for France. But for Man United, because we don't have a top CDM and Rashford's out, Paul Pogba's best position is left mid. But when Rashford comes back, fine, put Pogba in the pivot. But I think we should be playing Pogba as a left mid and giving Matic and Donny a chance. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people in the comments are kind of saying, so we put Conrad up first and foremost. Does Donny deserve a chance? In my opinion, he does. A couple other people saying, Diego, obviously I won't read it, I'll obviously summarise. Diego saying, do you think he'll play on Saturday? He personally believes that he'll play against Young Boys, which does probably make sense in Ollie's head, because of course Young Boys is an easier opponent. Fred isn't available for that game either. And also, if Van de Beek doesn't play with Fred out, he may as well walk out right now. I mean, I suppose that's a damning indictment of where we are with the Van de Beek situation. As you kind of alluded to, he did make those comments, which is very surprising during, the season. Of course, he had that interview with Rio Ferdinand. His agents come out and spoke as well on a different podcast, if I'm not mistaken. Chris, what are your thoughts on the Van de Beek situation? Is it now a case that, I mean, he's ready. We know he played well against Newcastle when he had that 10-minute cameo last season when we beat him 4-1. I mean, it was 1-1 until his sort of introduction to the game, and then, of course, we blitzed him in the last 10 minutes. Do you think it's a case that Ollie is somewhat not believing in his ability, or is he trying to pick the right game? Is this the right game for Van de Beek? Where do you sit on the whole situation?
Well, I used to think he was waiting for the right game, like the right opportunity, but we've got a whole season and a bit. I think I'm right in saying he hasn't played a minute so far. I don't think he's even come on at the end of a game yet, has he? So I don't know, but he was linked with Everton. His agent in that interview that you said, he said that they had an agreement with Everton that Van de Beek was going to go there, and Ollie pulled the plug on it. He was the one that he was the one who vetoed it. The board were willing to let him go. Because clearly, if you're from the board's point of view, you go, Ollie, mate, you're not picking him. Like, what do you mean we can't sell him, So I think, I agree with the person in the comments, really. If he doesn't get picked now, with Fred unavailable, Scott McTominay injured, when is he going to get an opportunity? I mean, Matic, his legs are gone. We don't really have any other defensive midfielders. I mean, you made the comment about Juan Mata. I heard someone mention Phil Jones as a CDM because
he's been training hard. He's been training hard. They're putting images out on the social platforms.
He played the 90 minutes in the behind closed door game in this international break. He's back. So I'm with you. Like you said about Juan Mata, I think he'll pick Phil Jones as a CDM before he picks Van der Beek.
If he picks Phil Jones, I swear, and just bear in mind, I'm at the game. If he picks Phil, if I see,
He's our best CDM, by the way, Isman.
Oh my God, I'm gonna be. Listen, just to clarify, right? I will be reacting to the lineup live whenever that happens. If I see Phil Jones,
You got to clip this
on my team sheet. Listen, I need to make a note of this minute here. I'm gonna lose it. I swear to God, I'm not going older to Old Trafford.
But to answer your question, yeah, of course, but it needs to be Matic and Van der Beek. I think that's the two. That's the best balance. They were brilliant at Molineux.
Yeah, no, they definitely had a good game against them. But look, for me personally, right, I just don't even think it matters anymore. Like, if he has a good game, he played, like you said, you know, he was fantastic. He was man of the match against Wolves, and he didn't even get a look in this game. He didn't even get substituted on, which blows my mind. It just seems like Ollie obviously doesn't trust him, which it just, again, it doesn't really make much sense. At the end of the day, as Ali said earlier, if you don't trust him, sell him and replace him with somebody else. Camavinga was available. Yes, we know he went to Real Madrid and it seemed like he was happy to go there. But I'm sure Alice will tell you guys she did about 90 shows on Camavinga coming to Man United. Every time I saw Alice just trash Fisher, Camavinga potential. Oh, I feel for you, Alice.
I was rooting for it. I was like, I had a feeling.
That's why
PSG got Messi.
Shows. Honest to God, I used to do them all the time, and then Chris has probably got Camavinga shirt. I used to do the transfer shows all the time, and I just gave up. I just gave up, honestly, because it just happened all the time. We got a comment here from Ali, the homie. Will I miss Fred against Newcastle? No. Will I miss Fred if he leaves United? No. I mean, okay, fair enough, Ali. I mean, I personally think he's a good squad player. If Phil Jones or Lingard start, I'm walking out the stadium. Again, very positive there. I mean, I'll probably join you on the Phil Jones. I don't mind if Lingard starts, although I don't think this is the game for him personally. But yeah, listen, let's move on to Newcastle very briefly. I'm not going to sit here and claim I'm an expert at Newcastle. I'm not sure if either of you two are. But I have got the lineup from the last game if my laptop allows me to come up here. So Newcastle played a 3-5-2 last game. Obviously, keep getting your questions in. I think Conrad's got another question. I'll read that very shortly, but Guy, keep getting your questions in for myself and the panel. If you haven't already, of course, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Obviously, it helps us out. But yeah, this was Newcastle's lineup against the game against Southampton. So we got Woodman in there, which is somewhat irrelevant who they got in there because every goalkeeper against Man United just turns into prime Peter Schmeichel anyways. So the 3-5-2, they had Fernandes at the back, Lascelles, Shaw, and then in midfield, right-wing back, Murphy, Willock, who started, Sean Longstaff, not the ginger one that was Ghostbusters, Almiron, Richie left wing, who I believe is injured on international duty, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure I saw him in a boot, so I think he's injured. And then up top, they had Callum Wilson and St. Maximum, who both got the goals for Newcastle. Alice, my question to you is it somewhat a concern for what they have going forward? Because they're playing a 3-5-2, let's be real. It's going to be somewhat defensive. It's their way at Old Trafford. We'd expect them to be very compact, somewhat parking the balls, trying to hit on the break, with Wilson, St. Maximum in particular. Is it a concern that we just time and time again can't break down these low blocks?
I look at it and I go, they played a low block against West Ham. West Ham scored 4. Villa scored 2 against them. And Southampton scored 2 against them. So they've shipped at least 2 goals in all of their games. They haven't kept any clean sheets. We've got all the attacking power in the world. And even when we can't break down teams, we have players like Greenwood, given one chance he scores. Bruno, given one chance he scores. Ronaldo speaks for itself. So I go, yeah, there's obviously the possibility that we might not be able to break them down. But the way I look at it is I feel like the reason we don't break down teams is because of the midfield. And I'm like, Fred being out, it sounds bad, but it could be a good thing because what Fred defensively is probably better than McTominay, Van der Beek and Pogba in terms of his mobility and stuff. But going forward, I think Matic even offers more than Fred. So I think in terms of looking at it, if McTominay and Fred can't play and you've got Matic and Pogba in a pivot or Matic and Johnny pivot, as long as Matic does his job and we move the ball quickly, we can break down teams. And it could very much be one of them situations where we have first half Man United, that we see where we're a bit slow, we're not playing great. But then second half Man United come out and we start moving the ball quick. And I even think with United, it's not always about the midfielders, because even in the second half, McTominay and Fred have played well. But I think it's all about moving the ball quickly. Can we pass the ball quickly? Which I think is why we should play Donny van der Beek, because you see he's very intelligent, touch, move, and not all the players on his wavelength. But I think if we can move the ball quickly, we can surely break them down. And also, when you think about Newcastle counter-attack with St. Maximin, I think the scariest counter-attack player is actually Adama Traore, even though he can't finish to save his life. And Raphael Varane, when he was alongside Maguire, they were exposed quite a lot because the Wolves ran through Fred and Pogba. Like, Fred got mugged off. Like, they literally ran through us, Wolves. But there was no midfield versus Wolves. They ran through us. And Varane and Maguire were very much up against the Wolves' attack. They had to deal with it quite a lot. They had a lot to deal with. And, you know, if that was Lindelof and Maguire, I think we would have more likely conceded, or do you know what I mean? But I thought now with Varane in as well, I'm not too worried about teams counter-attacking us, because I think once you've got a centre-back with Varane next to Maguire, Man United can take more risks. Whereas I think one of the reasons that we do play quite defensive football, especially in big games, is to protect Maguire and Lindelof. But I think with Varane coming in, you don't need that protection. So Man United as a team actually might play a better brand of football.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Of course, with Varane being in the team over Lindelof, I'm expected to start way high up the pitch. I'm expecting at least 5 to 10 yards, I would say, further up the pitch. Of course, that would allow us to squeeze them further up. For me personally, I want to see Maguire basically playing in midfield. I mean, look, I understand Newcastle have a threat on the break, as you said. You know, they've scored 2 in practically every game they've played this season. So, of course, we know they got goals in them. Against West Ham, you know, West Ham were devastating, you know, in sort of last stages of that game. It really showed their quality. But prior to that, West Ham were very much in the game in terms of, you know, offering a threat going forward. But nevertheless, we're at home. I'm expecting Maguire to practically be playing in midfield. If he does go for Pogba and Matic in the middle of the park, which I'm assuming he will, as you correctly said, for me, it's about how quick we transition the ball. I don't want to see Pogba taking 3, 4, 5 touches on the ball. Just get the ball, keep it ticking, keep the ball moving. Even if it's a couple of yards, it just gives them something to think about. And we kind of dwell on the ball for too much, which is a concern for me. So, yeah, for me personally, I agree in terms of Maguire and Brown further up the pitch. Let's get Pogba into the final third, even if he's starting that so-called double pivot against the low block, like I'm expecting from Newcastle, who can be somewhat camped on their half, edge of their box. Pogba should just be allowed to roam. He shouldn't need to do defensive duties. We should have enough cover there. I know Matic hasn't got the legs. And again, St. Maximin on the break, I know people will say, you know, that's suicide in terms of asking for trouble. However, we need to be somewhat ambitious and taking risks with, you know, the manner in which we move up the pitch. Because if we have Pogba and Matic sat next to each other for the majority of this game, and let's just say we've got Sancho, Greenwood, Ronaldo up top with Bruno, and then parking the bus with a 3-5-2, it's going to be a long day at the office, especially the way we move the ball. We need to get more bodies forward. So, Chris, obviously, you've heard what myself and Alice have said. What are your thoughts in terms of the little sort of tweaks? A lot of people are saying in the comments, or have said in the comments, why did we always start so slow? Obviously, Alice alluded to it as well. You know, how important is it we actually get a good start this game? I know that's such a cliche thing, and we're probably going to say that for every single game this season. But not even in terms of scoring, in terms of the manner in which we start the game, it always seems to be very, lethargic. I think that's the best way to describe it. How important is it that we change that? And what do you think we need to do to change that, so to speak?
Well, I think it will change. I think it'll be similar to the Leeds game. Not Newcastle won't play the way Leeds played. Obviously, they'll play a much lower block. They'll be more difficult to break down. They're not going to come at us. I don't think in a way that Leeds did. However, what I will say is that like the home advantage is back. Like people are forgetting that the last 2 games were away from home against the crowd, and it's normal. I think over the last 18 months, people have forgotten, but it's normal to sit back for 15 minutes, try and settle the crowd down and grow yourself into a game when you're away from home. And Southampton, it went all a bit wrong, and against Wolves, they did have chances, and our back four were really exposed. But I think structurally, it would have been all right. I think Alice made the point bang on. That Adama Traore just took our midfield out. Like the double pivot wasn't there. He just ran through them. Fred and Pogba at times, there's clips of them both going like that. They didn't even want to make the challenge. You know, they're just stepping out of his way. So they made it like a 4-on-4 consistently throughout the game. I don't think Newcastle have that pace and power. I do think you do need to take the game to them. I don't know if you saw the Newcastle West Ham game, but they were like 2-1 up. I think about half an hour left. And Newcastle were. And as soon as West Ham kind of went, they made the changes, they stepped up and attacked them. They scored 3 goals in the last half an hour. and beat them 4-2. So if you go for Newcastle, you'll get at them. So I think it'll be a similar game to the Leeds game where we'll be on the front foot, we'll be risk taking, and then you've got the Varane, the Sancho, and the Ronaldo added to that team that weren't there that day.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to create more chances. We've got the best player. Ronaldo is the best finisher in the world. In my view, people might want to compare him to Messi, different attributes, but in terms of just raw finishing, there's no one that is even comparable to Ronaldo, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't really buy into the slow start or the negative football. If you look at Ollie's tenure over the time, yes, but just taking like this season so far in isolation, I think we've tried to attack in every game. It's more that we've failed in the patterns of play rather than us not attacking. And I think against Newcastle, they're a poor side. I think we'll blow them away.
I mean, I think for me personally, it's the reoccurring mistakes that we seem to make, which is the sort of issue for me. I mean, like you said, we've tried to attack. Of course, we're going to try to attack with Man United. I mean, I don't think anyone's denying that we're not trying to attack. But the issue for me, and Alice obviously touched upon earlier, is the manner in which we move the ball. It seems to be the same. I mean, the issue of breaking the low block down for us as a team, not just under Oli, by the way, under previous managers. This isn't a dig just at Oli. Obviously, this was the same under Jose, same under Van Gaal as well. We haven't moved the ball quickly post Fergie. And
you're right.
We haven't. It's under so many managers, and I just think that's the issue. Like, you said that in terms of, when West Ham went for the jugular, so to speak, they absolutely blew them away. That's what Man United should be doing. Let's just talk about some of the players that we've got at disposal. We got Cristiano Ronaldo, we got Jadon Sancho, Greenwood, Martial, Cavani, Pogba, Bruno. That's our options to attack with. And I understand, of course, every team needs a balance, and you can't play all of them. I get that. However, we should go into the game with the impetus from the get-go that they should be pinned back from minute one. And as you said, they are going to be sat back for the first 50 minutes. Of course, it's normal for a team to try and weather the storm. I get that. But we shouldn't allow it. We shouldn't allow teams like Newcastle, who aren't really that good. I mean, they're not a good team. They're literally playing a 3-5-2 because they can't defend. Let's be real. They're not playing it because they've looked at Chelsea and thought, oh, look, it's successful for Chelsea. Let's us play it. They're playing it because they can't defend. And they need as much cover as they can get defensively. So, for me personally, just go for the jugular from minute one. I know that's such a cop-out thing to say, but in terms of...
I think we will do it at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I mean,
it's more away from home I was talking about.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. But in terms of this game, obviously, on Saturday, I want us to be on the front from minute one, not methodical in the way we move the ball, and move the ball with a bit of purpose, and start the way we mean to go. And I think we should slap them 4-0. I think at half-time we should be 3-0 up. That should be our aim. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but we should be slapping these 3-0 at half-time, because in terms of on paper, our teams are completely, worlds apart, and as is our bench as well. Just a comment here, I suppose you kind of alluded to it. Alice, I'll throw this to you from Big Run. Who will win the ball off St. Maximin if we have a pivot of Pogba and Matic? Does it somewhat concern you what they have on the break? You mentioned Adama Traore, he terrorized us, let's be real. Pogba and Fred were both poor in that game in terms of defensively. Is it a concern? St. Maximin, very similar play. Actually has a bit more end quality than Traore. Maybe lacks that sort of blistering acceleration, so to speak. He doesn't lack it, but compared to Traore, it does. Is it a concern with Pogba and Matic? Do you think they'll be able to cope with him on the break, or do you just think it's a matter of what we have going forward, so to speak?
I think it's always a concern, but I think it depends on two things: which Matic shows up, and also is he playing Lindelof or is he playing Varane? Because I remember a year ago now, first game of the season last year against Crystal Palace, Zaha and Crystal Palace destroyed us on the break, and Lindelof's worst ever game for Man United was that 3-1 loss to Crystal Palace for me. He gave away the penalty, he was awful, and we could not deal with Crystal Palace counter-attacking us when we lost them 3-1. And Crystal Palace counter-attacked us in a very, very similar way that Wolves counter-attacked us the other day. And we dealt better with it against Wolves. I think Wolves couldn't finish. There was a little bit of maybe luck involved where Palace did finish their chances. And then obviously they got to retake the penalty that they got. And that Palace game was a bit annoying. But I look at it and I go, if Matic has a good game, and we control the midfield and we have a lot of possession, I think we'll be all right. I think if Varane plays and not Lindelof, it will be less of an issue because of Varane's pace. And also, the best person we have to stop counter-attacks in a weird way is probably Wan-Bissaka, because if he's one-on-one against a player and he can get that tackle in, we're fine. And I look at Wan-Bissaka and I go, Wan-Bissaka, one game next to Varane, I thought he was very, very good versus Wolves. He made that clearance. I thought his positioning was a lot better. And Wan-Bissaka's problem is on the counter-attack, sometimes he's not in position. But if Wan-Bissaka's there, if he's in position, I think he could pocket Saint-Maxime. We've seen him pocket Sterling week after week in the Manchester derby. We've seen him pocket the best left wingers in football, Neymar and Mbappe. If Wan-Bissaka's on it, he can pocket anyone. But I do think there's always going to be issues because Callum Wilson, I think, is a very good player, actually.
Yeah, he is.
Clinical as well, so better than the Wolves attack.
Yeah, no, I think for me personally, in terms of Wan-Bissaka, he has improved from that one game. Of course, my issue with Wan-Bissaka is I've actually, this might surprise you, but I've actually not selected him for this game. I've actually put Dalot in for this game. I know this will never happen, but the reason I put Dalot is because I genuinely believe we should pin them back most of the game. However, now looking at the fact that they got 3-5-2, it might somewhat change my opinion to the extent because, of course, they'll have more overloads, so to speak, moving forward. But for me, I just want to see Dalot getting forward in this game. I just think if he's going to go with a double pivot of Pogba and Matic, we need another option because I can't imagine him allowing Pogba to make those breaking runs into the final third. We need more width because this is an issue when we're playing against low blocks. And I think Big Ron's kind of put a comment here, obviously a bit long-winded, but just to summarise the comment, he's basically alluding to the fact that if we play a high line, it's going to make it more congested in the final third. Of course, that may be the case, but in those moments, you need to go to the wings. Wings is normally where the space is. Of course, Luke Shaw, no issues whatsoever. I mean, it's one point that Luke Shaw's going to get a lot of assists as well. But when the ball goes to Wan-Bissaka in particular, and this game against Newcastle, that's where it's going to be an issue for me. Because if they are playing a 3-5-2, and it's going to be very congested, and he's going to be one of our only players in space. And I'd rather have Dalot in that situation consistently. Okay, granted, Dalot would probably get violated by St. Max, so I'm not going to lie, which is a concern for me. However, going forward, I have more confidence that Dalot has the ability to put a ball in Ronaldo's head that obviously potentially, gives an opportunity to score, so to speak, over Wan-Bissaka. Although in saying that, Wan-Bissaka did score an absolute banker against Newcastle.
Oh, yeah.
So what I know. Fantastic goal. And he's got proper celebration now, so, it is what it is. Chris, in terms of the previous question, who's going to stop St. Maximin? Who's going to stop their threats for us? And Wilson, of course, as Alice said, he's been quite clinical, in particular against us. He's done well as well over the past, in particular for Bournemouth. Is that a concern for you with them two, with their pace that they've got going forward? Who can stop them for us?
It is, which is why I slightly disagreed. I would go Wan-Bissaka, and for that reason, I think Varane can't take all the credit, obviously, for improving Wan-Bissaka's performance, but his positioning was definitely better. He kept pushing him back, stopping him from coming on the inside into the box. I think if we play Matic, then I think if you're going to push everybody up into the opposition half, then what will happen is Matic will end up playing between the two centre-backs, and then you're almost like for like them.
Yeah.
In those moments, and then if you then sort of end up Luke Shaw right up the pitch as you're suggesting, and Wan-Bissaka right up the pitch, I much more trust Wan-Bissaka on that recovery going backwards. Because they are going to get. We're not always fluid, and we give the ball away a lot. Like
absolutely,
we're still not recycling the ball very well, and that could improve if it's Matic and Van der Beek. I mean, with Fred, I don't know, I couldn't count, but how many times was those counter-attacks from Traore actually called by Fred literally giving him the ball? It's like the one person you don't pass to is Adama Traore. Look the other direction. Give it to Sice. I think that's how I would stop the threat. I'd ask Donny van de Beek to get forward to help Bruno, get Pogba to come inside to sort of even out their three centre backs, and then Ronaldo, the match winner, isn't he?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, look, I understand the whole Wan-Bissaka Dalot thing. I actually did say Wan-Bissaka initially. However, on another previous podcast, I kind of changed my mind with the logic that they had, which is kind of what I've said here in terms of with just another element for us to push forward with, especially against a low block. I feel like every time I see Wan-Bissaka play this season, I know it's only 3 games in, but a lot of teams are just allowing him to have space because they don't really think he's got that quality to put in the box. Of course, he hasn't shown that thus far. He's still young. He can, of course, improve on that. But I just feel like if we have Delo in that, situation, I think he could offer us more quality. Because to be honest with you, I think McTominay will play. The reason I'm saying Delo is because I just don't think it's not going to be attacking pivot. It's going to be Pogba and McTominay or Pogba and Matic most likely. I don't think Van der Beek is going to be in the conversation, although we've all agreed that he should start. So hence why I would want another attacking outlet, especially from wide areas against a very defensive team. So in terms of the lineup itself, obviously get your lineups in the Get your lineups in the comments. Obviously get your score predictions in. Alice, we'll come to you first and foremost. We somewhat kind of mentioned them anyways. But yeah, what is your lineup for this game if you are in charge?
David De Gea in goal for me. He's basically saved Ollie 4 points in the last 2 games.
Absolutely.
For me, I'll sit here. I know it's a bit off topic, but if Arsenal pay 30 million for Ramsdale, why don't we put Dean Henderson on the market? We could have got 40 million for me. Always bugs me that. Right back, Wan-Bissaka for me, just because defensively we don't get caught on the counter-attacks. Centre backs, Varane and Maguire. Left back, Luke Shaw. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. I'm going Donny and Matic in the pivot. I don't want to risk a not fully fit McTominay. I'd rather wait till he's fully fit. Bruno, Cam, Pogba on the left because he's done great on the left, and I also think Pogba's provides service. Give Ronaldo service, he'll score. Pogba cross, Ronaldo header, and then I go Mason Greenwood has to play on the right. He's undroppable.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Apart from the Delo thing, which is the only thing I would change from that. Just before we go on, I was trying to remember what I was going to say. I was going to say Joe Willock. Actually, we haven't mentioned him at all. Yeah. He's going to be a concern. We do not pick up these third man runs from deep. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. It seems to be a reoccurring thing with us. If a midfielder runs from deep, our double pivot players, whoever it is, they never pick them up. They just get a free run at it. In particular, if Pogba's in midfield, I won't be surprised if Willock scores and runs off Pogba in particular, because Pogba doesn't trap people like that. I can't imagine Pogba following Willock into our box if he runs from deep. So that's something that we need to look at as well. Hopefully, Ollie has done his homework, because we know Willock's got the ability to score goals. He showed it last season. But Chris, what's your lineup? Obviously, is it similar to Alice's? Where are you going with it?
Yeah, pretty similar. De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka right back, Luke Shaw left back, and Varane and Maguire the centre backs. I think that almost picks itself. I'd go Matic and Van der Beek for the reasons that we outlined in the double pivot. It could well be McTominay. I'm actually not a hater of McTominay. I think he gets thrown into that McFred thing in the same light, but I don't see them on the same level at all. I think McTominay scored 9 goals last season. I don't think there's many centre midfielders in the league that scored more than him. I'd have Greenwood outright, Pogba on the left, and Cristiano up front.
Yeah, no, I think we've kind of all gone for a similar lineup, which definitely means Ali's not going to do that. This comment is just making me laugh. Big Ron, fingers crossed, Freddie is banned. Oh my God. There's some real dislike for Fred in the comments today, which is quite hilarious. I mean, he's getting a bit disrespected. I'm not going to lie, he's a very good squad player. I don't want him to be banned. But of course, I don't want him to start against any low block for the rest of the season. But that's just my personal opinion. But anyways, let's wrap up the show. I want to get everyone's score predictions. If you are still joining us in the chat, of course, slap a like, subscribe to the channel, and get your score predictions in. If you're watching this on repeat, please put your comments in down below. Get your score predictions in. Alice, anyways, we'll come to you first and foremost. What is your score prediction for this game?
Oh, I think we're going to score goals. I think with Newcastle, if we score the first goal, I think we could be in for a goal fest. Once we went 2-1 up against Leeds, they kept coming.
Yeah.
I think if we could score the first goal, we could be in for a goal fest. Their defence is shite. Their attack is good. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, so I'm going to go with another 4-1 United.
Well, 4-1 United. I like it, Alice. I'm liking the confidence. Chris, over to you. What's your score prediction?
But Alice just stole my 4-1. You read my mind. But I do, yeah. I think it'll be 4-1. I agree. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet because I think we'll be attacking for the most part. And we're not going to keep them out all day on the break. I think they'll probably get through a couple of times and score at least 1 goal. But no, I'm going to predict Ronaldo to get a brace on his debut or his second debut for us. And, and win the game 4-1.
You know what? It's interesting because I'm sat here trying to think: do I captain him on fantasy football? That is a question.
Yes.
God, I don't know what to do because I've got Salah as captain at the moment, which obviously is he's playing Leeds, isn't he? So they like to score, but we'll sort that out. We've got a comedy from Diego saying my prediction is Manchester United 4, Newcastle United 3 goals. All right, 3 goals coming in the first half. All right, I thought you said Newcastle 3 for a second there. I was like, that'll be into a very good game then. Yeah, you know what? I feel like I'm gonna agree with Diego. I think we'll be 3-0 up at half time, which is hilarious because we're probably gonna be 0-0 at half time.
When's the last time we was 3-0 up at half time?
Honest to God, I can't remember. But in my head, I'm thinking 3-0 at half time, 4-0, and then Ronaldo comes off 60th minute. That's what I think should happen. I know that's such an arrogant thing to say, but as Alice poetically said, Newcastle's defense is shy. So I'm expecting us to slap him. I've said that consistently. Look, I'm at the game. I want some goals. But listen, I can't agree with everyone, so I'm going to say 5-0. Forget about it. 5-0 Manchester United.
I'd love that.
We'll take that. We'll take that.
We'll take it. It might be 6. No, I do agree with that. If we score first, it's going to be an absolute goal. It's going to be floodgates. Floodgates going to be absolutely open. But listen, that's our thought. Let's just get last comments in from you guys. The world will be watching. You've got Cristiano Ronaldo, absolute Usman. I know you got to take it. No streaking onto the pitch. Oh God, don't worry, I won't be doing any of that. Absolutely not. Not anytime soon, anyways. But listen, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We have got a show tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and as I've already mentioned about a million times, if you don't already know, I'm going to the game. So I'm going to try my best to do a match day vlog. As I've already mentioned, I've not done it in about 5 years. It's a bit awkward because I don't really like sitting there recording myself while I'm watching the game. I not do it for watching it, but when I'm at the stadium, I want to kind of take it in, so to speak. But I'll try my best for you lot, obviously. So make sure if you haven't, put notifications on for that. Sunday we got a new show, but listen, without waffling too much, let's talk about our guest. And it's first and foremost over to you. Let the people know what you're going to be doing this week. In terms of content, obviously, where they can find you.
Hopefully, there'll be a watch along and a match reaction coming up on Saturday. So make sure you go subscribe to Alice Talks Football on YouTube to see that. Yes. Also, Alice Talks Footy on Twitter and TikTok. Thank you, Usman.
Yes, absolute pleasure. Chris, exactly the same question. Any content you're doing for the week, and obviously let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, The Football Agenda, all things Premier League. Got a show on Sunday night at 8:30 if you want to come along to that. With a few guests from different clubs as we'll be discussing the weekend's action. Yes. And I'm _ The Football Agenda on Twitter as well. And thanks so much.
I got it wrong the first time, but I did correct myself. So their socials are down below. We'll put their links to their channel in as well. As I've already said, make sure you go subscribe to their channel. They've got a lot of good content. Alice is reminding me as well. I actually have got a fan calling show that I've completely forgotten about. Kojo will be hosting that. So straight after the game, as always, call in, have your say on the game. I might be calling from the stadium, who knows? I'm going to be with Jerry and some of the other guys from the channel. So if we're in good spirits, we might call in. If we've lost, then you won't see me for a couple of weeks anyways. But listen, it's been your boy as well. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you